Hello, my friends. Ah, days of our life. Oh, you know, Bruce Willis. He's so hot. But anyway, is there any kind of things to function the ordering system in relation to our fair share? Oh, because in relation to our fair share, the Blekasan of our solar energy is the constitution of our own land. But the Methokoshon of our meta title is just a web designer in relation to Sector 3. Because in relation to Sector 3, the Palakashon of knowing how to code the produce in relation to Safeway is an Amankasang. But per IO in relation to identifying what we buy the best based upon our own budgeting program. But our own budgeting program is that our money is just our money, but sharing our money in relation to selecting interest into NetKelly to bank account. So in that way, the calculator is just a necoton of law. But in that law, we are ordering the system to emanate the defunction of Archon. But NetKelly, in relation to the selective, meaningful, wishful thinking, is an ordering system because Eve has one. Is it a bird or a codon of bird? The history of Malam. But Joseph, Malam, do you need to know that it may become a lamb to eat and woo? Ah, but in that way, what is the mimesis of our own design to program the non-biblum of Greek Orthodox? But the Greek Orthodox, ah, but the Greek Orthodox is just the tradition of our law. But within our law, that nature is just an aboriginal culture. But aboriginal culture is just the confirm of our British colony to compact the deposition. The deposition is that once we know how to oil the sender in relation to our polygon, the police army is just a nonsense of law. But within the law, how do we convert the article in relation to our development of Duchamp? But Bill Gates, the solar panel is just a conjunction of per coolant in relation to engine 325 and engine 321, but plus 12 equals taxon. But in our taxon, how do we interest a little more dime from the Vancon? But our oil is just a nonsense of law. So within ourselves, we are not production in relation to our third shaft. But in that way, our developer is the conclusion of the precursor, and in so, our threshold. But based upon our threshold, how do we know that the interestment is just a anaphang of knowing how to develop resources for the Gadi? Because for the Gadi in relation to our harvest station, the complementation of our law is an instrument of knowing how to confound the orchestra in relation to our musical notes. But our musical note is just like Queen Elizabeth, is it? But sharing the drama of Red Eye, White Sun, Sansan, our developer of Xeon is just our kind of mythical by the belong song. Because in reality, spotlight is just spotlight in relation to Bisong, but our normality is a show. So in that way of life, we do not know our grandchild to show, because in reality, the Veliko is our reincarnation. In our time, in our Lumpur, our sinning is the 11.2 commandment. Harry Hamburger, Method 6, Design Assassin, 3rd grade. In delay of a protocol of Nokoson, our lawyer will indicate to physicists the sophon. But in that time, when we know that we are orbiting into Knowakashan, you're blocked. Thank you, God Creator. So anyway, in relation to the division to support the Shangshang, we will manufacture a certain amount of degree. Moses, the fair share in our life is the complexity of knowing that our harvest station is an instrument of our ocean, and the design time of our ocean is that the resources by Holmes' world is the efficient of our energizer to position ourselves into the complexity of our own network, because building the network of friends is a tradition of law, and to account an application degree, because in that way an account is just our no-show of our own wimpum. So in that way, without knowing how to reserve the no, is an account of knowing how to tackling the information dope. And the information dope is that we are not allocating the aggression of war. So in that time, when we compromise the condition of the third mythology in relation to psychiatrists, the mechanism of doped in is that if there is an form in relation to the Rakashan, Phoenix, the disjunction of our law, is our unction of our orchestra to program the data. Because in that time, if we do, we can compact into reality of the second of law. And the sound of law is the compacting degree of our own drifter. Because movie maker, in relation to a third amount of our sister star, the development of our sister star is that we are not Foshoshan in relation to the prawn, but Bill Gates in relation to the misnon of our CPU in relation to the hybrid. The compacting degree of a hybrid is just an accretion of our law to Ishanton, the interior D1 tape. But Justin Bishop, how do we comprehend the interlink of law? But the reversity of our ancestors is that we are not offering the strong heart to belong on the layer of law. So in that time, the heart rate of Imbo is that our precious son of our law is the son. So within the manner of time, our sister of Hochong is that unknown. We are dog feet. Okay. In humanity, why do we school fee our favorite animal service vet? But in that way, we are plucked on the duck to share the unity of moss and to indicate why our work method is only a school fee of bank file in relation to bulbous and to indicate that our last one is our uncle. But in that time, the diphthong is the negation of law. But within our law, that the belacha of our Bashassan is that we are not offering our segmenting of law without conferencing into the manufacturing degree. But the factories of Hitler is that Jewish is only Ruben Tzarkotron, which means Ditum, our lovable animal parts. But how do we conflict the death penalties of taxing to earn 2.5? No, 0 to 1. 0 to 1? In 0 to 1, the flaka of a duck is that 0 to 1 is just an inconsistent of 0 to 5. But in relation to Asasi, the third hexagon is that 0 to 1, 0 to 3, 0 to 4, 0 to 6. Program. Engine 5. In that way, the succession of our interests by Urquhart, where Nedgali is antecedent of the next symptom by Sofunk to know how to travel to the planet Mum. But the planet Mum beams into our satellite to overshadow our own reality, because the Creator cannot conform our dietary in relation to knowing how to execute FTP 55C, 2C, 1C, 5C, XC, 110, engine 54. So, 0 dot dot dot. In that way, our starfish is a noxation, but our starfish is just an ocean depth of the submarine. And in that way, the offering of the submarine is just an offer of how cute should it be. But in relation to how cute should it be, the next incident is that our testosterone is an occolo of our own mineral. Franklin 3246, Isle 631, deploy 3, fracta 6cc plus 9. So in that way, by our own function, the sharing of our program is that our tile is an intrusion of our reserve bank to Queen Shang. But in that way, Queen Victoria, our sales point is only distilting into the fluxon of law, but in that way inherit vertical consumption of curtain blind to often show our shore, but within our shore, our ocean pressing through the Blueston. How does the country get developed, Miss E.T.? only compose a dead soul. You serious? But when we die, we have a soul. But when the dead soul, oh God, that's scary. So, Ross House, our dead soul. How do we know that my uncle, the devil, can account Ned Kelly in relation to 0.5? Not really. It's just a to become the next person. Oh, strange. Anyway, Minty. Rock. Street. Trace of Pine. Elvis. So in a way of our own musician, the rationale of knowing that our compressor is just a motion of law. Foxy! Foxy! And the compacting degree is the notion of his own lagna. But our pointer is just a conclusion of our law. Foxy! Daddy be home soon. Quiet, please. Foxy. 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 Quiet. Come on. Mommy loves you. Come on. And anyway, in that kind of way, our own orchestra is that our percentages of our taxing is that each gufun of self-government dong ding bong di self-government you crutch the off account of country town is just our microdome of Dixon. But in relation to Dixon, how do we convert into the measurable, impulsive deodorant? But our oil is just a form of. So in that way, when we build the next engine, the complexity of our world is just the manana of our production is Nagana. But our soul, it's me. See? I live in digital world. Hmm. So anyway, Star-san, Dijota-san, Python. Weep 732 insane. in relation to our perspective, the shum is the Tutsun. So, Dixon, based upon the precedent in relation to the Yugoton, our US Army is the focus of our war, and to Tufufun, the non-bomb, because the submarine is just a correction. So we are offering the bank file to Texton its own. So, Safang, when we have the compacting degree by the Elon, the election of 324 and 241 for Donald Trump is that why do we convert into building our own network only? Because the blesser we are, the more compressor we can be. But in that way, our school fee is only 3 to 9, 6 to 1, and 2 to 1 DRAM. And inside, we will focus on our phases, PHASES, of exclusion. So, six preview, 35, 21, 56, robot. Safang, ink, 12, Guardian. Our engine for the turbocharge. Next time, hey? But in time, when we get the parts in relation to our sustained stability as well as our academics result, we will perform into the ECO in relation to the hibernation by the VTech hybrid, and also interlocution of our rocket by my master to flock down throttle through the planet Moon. So in that way, if our surface producer can intersect the third amount of Pankatang, then in relay we can also confirm the nicotine, because our nicotine is just a constant by Magus 2 of 3. That's how my dog's brain works. But anyway, Phoenix! But anyway, in that time, the complexity of the turbocharge is a Hoshamshon, because when the jet speed spun through my best friend Starfish is a knockathon, but the engine is on Hoshan of 3, 6, 2, 1, and in that way, you're blocked. So in that way, you're blocked. So, I hope you guys knew what it was.